If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. All right. Hello. Welcome back to the Singer's Path podcast. It's me, your host, Sarah Bishop, and I am joined today by a very special guest, Spencer Glass, who we have worked together before. It's been a while. I don't even know if it was that long, but we did a workshop together like a kind of a long time ago. When was that? Was that Monopoly?
That was Monopoly. It was June 2019.
Oh, good Lord. The before times.
The before times when life was, life is good now, but when life was different.
Life was so different. In 2019, I was a completely different person. That's wild. Well,
I know.
I'm so happy to have you here. Since we worked together, Spencer has gone to create his own business. They are a multi-hyphenate, a multi-passionate actor, coach, professor, you name it. So I was really excited to bring Spencer on in the way that he supports actors in particular and how he talks about things. And I just think it's a message and medicine for a lot of artists as my business is starting to pivot into supporting artists all around and not just like technical voice. Like, I think that just scratches the surface of like a functionality versus like, wait, no, how do we actually like last a long time doing this? And how do we maintain our love? And how do we really take care of ourselves and advocate for ourselves? And I've just been really excited to have you on. So I'm so glad that we finally got the opportunity to talk about this so that I can, introduce you to my audience. I think you're going to help a lot of people.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for having me. And thanks for that beautiful introduction.
You're welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Yay. Okay, so let's start off, Spencer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, your background, like people who don't know you, we mentioned you're a multi-hyphenate, right? You grew up, sometimes you'll share in socials, like stories of you as a very young and aspiring actor, and kind of like your early life into maybe BFA, college, that kind of time. Give us a little bit of background.
I'm from New York, so I grew up around Broadway. My family worked on the marketing side of Broadway.
Wow.
So at a very, very young age, I was seeing a lot of theater. Like I was seeing like 1776 on Broadway when I was 5. Like I really was dropped in at a young age. And I think because my family was on the business side of things, I engaged with the industry. I engaged with the industry itself super young. And so I became really enamored with how do actors get from A to Z? Like, great, you're in a Broadway show. But why are you a swing and why are you an understudy and what background did you have? And I had like a database of like child actors and who their agents and managers were when I was 8 years old. I was just fascinated with how does this work and how does somebody exit a stage door? What is the process to even get there? And that, that brought me to getting a BFA from the Boston Conservatory in musical theater. And I think there, sometimes I almost felt more like an encyclopedia than an actor. I think a lot of people were like, oh, Spencer might know, or Spencer might know what to sing for this audition, or Spencer might know who's casting that, or Spencer might know what may be there. And I kind of became a go-to. I did the whole New York actor thing. I would say in 2020, I kind of got to a point where I was like, I think I want to start being paid for people asking me questions about their career.
Yeah.
And there were like, and I mean this so genuinely, like there have been friends of mine who were like, I wouldn't have made my Broadway debut. I wouldn't have booked that show if I did not have you in my ear, just kind of like giving me direction. And I was like, I was like, what could I do with this? So I created Spencer Glass Coaching, which really is, it kind of began as a career coaching company for actors to come to somebody and be like, yo, I'm stuck. I don't know what I'm doing. I have a lot of talent. I just graduated from this program, or I didn't go to school for theater. And I feel like I'm walking through a dark tunnel. What can we do? And so I kind of help people find their niche. I get their materials together and I help actors get unstuck.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, I went to Spencer last year around this time. I booked ahead with you, and I think I booked because Spencer's very popular, books out very far in advance. So I remember making the appointment, being like, I was at this crossroads of like, it was kind of who does that? Was it one of the people in Hamilton has this video about like, before you stop, you should at least like try. Right? Like fully try to pursue something before you decide to pivot. I had experienced, I talk about this all the time on the podcast, and I'm very transparent on here, by the way. So share as openly as you feel comfortable to. I know sometimes with this industry, people can feel afraid to speak honestly about things, but I try to encourage people to feel open about this. But in that honesty, I was feeling quite a bit of dissonance in the shift of what was working and what wasn't. And, kind of coming to a point where, is this like me, like not doing something right? Or is this like, actually also, I just really don't want it the way that I thought I did? Or so there was like a lot of uncovering. 2025 has been quite a thorough year of grief for me. And I feel like a lot of artists have felt that way. And basically, the beautiful thing about the session with Spencer was you did spot that you're like, listen, like there are things for you to do if you would like to. Like, hey, we need new headshots. I did that. They turned out great. And I think it's carried me well through 2025. Actually, I started getting better appointments. So the proof of Spencer's work is true. And we talked about, I whipped up a better website. I put the things on. You suggested, one of the things was, listen, you're very present online as a vocal studio. And there's also some bitch in Australia who's also named Sarah Bishop that has an Adult Swim credit on IMDb. And she's SAG. So your equity and she's SAG, someone's going to have to beef it out at some point as to who gets to keep that name. And then 3, there was mention of, you were like, listen, like, why is there no stuff of you singing? So that was a big deal for me in terms of ownership. And I mean, this is walking into what is interesting is it completely ended up morphing and changing throughout the year as to like what this golden nugget that you gave me really did. But it showed me, the biggest gift that it showed me was like, wait, I can just fucking do this myself. Like, I don't really need anybody to do this for me. I feel better about just doing it myself. You were like, the conversation was, why the fuck have you never auditioned for Jenna and Waitress? And I was like, good question. I don't fucking know.
Well, I actually remember, Sarah, and this is a great, like, you're a great example of this. If you're cool with me sharing.
Yes, please. Yep.
I'll
open. Yeah.
From our session, I think what you really needed was you got into a place, and I don't want to say it was jaded with the business, but I think that you were tired of almost being seen as a version of you from college that succeeded in college. And I think that you needed a kick in the ass to transition into like, okay, where's the star and why is she hiding? And why is she a killer business owner with a vocal studio, but where is she as a CEO of her career? Right. And what cards are missing that we need to find, and you're super receptive to all of it, by the way.
I mean, if it's true, it's true. You know, and I was like, I mean, who stuttered there? Not a single person.
It is, my job is to look at somebody. It's to not sugarcoat. Mm-hmm. And it's to be like, this is what I see that you might not see. Mm-hmm. And this is such an unpredictable cuckoo industry, and nothing is linear, that I'm like, what haven't we tried? And can we work smart and not hard at it? And can we move mm-hmm. quietly to make sure mm-hmm. that this is for us?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, there was so much to reflect on afterwards. Like, I think the reason I was so receptive too is this like nothing that I didn't already feel too, right? Like I knew that like deep down, but what I was wrestling with was the dissonance of, and you're right, I was exhausted and not jaded, because it's like there's a responsibility to engage in something. The only way something's insane is that if you keep doing something over and over again, but the same way and expecting different results. So there was a responsibility to, okay, something's not working, but I need to figure out if it's just genuinely inside me, I'm meant to go this way right now and be okay with that. Or if I want to give it a push, or if I want to give it like, and so it's like I gave myself the opportunity to, like you said, you're like, listen, like this is what's happening. Can you take steps in this direction? Because this is probably the way you need to go over here. And I did. And I think it helped, again, free and give me that creativity and that power to be like, listen, like I can just do this myself. But then with that, it was interesting because it actually lit more of a fire under my ass in my business, which it kind of just went boom, boom, and like switched. And I mean, we could reflect, you know, is that just me again avoiding fully going in? Is that me just again not fully surfacing? But I think what ended up happening is I looked at my business as my buoy, like as my how do I want to say this? Like my float, my lifesaver that actually could take whatever I wanted to make and cast it out. Mm-hmm. And using the platform to start to show my own music. And it's interesting because it's like the business coaching aspect for me helps me deal with money, which helps me invest in my own creative projects. And it also helps me with visibility, which is something that all artists need at some point. So I kind of basically just like went and like cyber blasted the two together, soul bonded. But with that, right, there's fear, there's grief. And I mean, obviously, you know, I'm sure working with your clients is confidential and how you share things, but just maybe overall themes over when you're on your own path, right? There, like you said, there are A to Z trajectories of like, how does someone get here? And also each person is different in how they do that. So like, what is your experience in observing people's transformation, so to speak? And is there a period, because I've seen this with my clients, is there a period of grief that starts to almost like it's like a bubble or a pimple? It like builds and builds and builds. And then at some point there's this, that's a gross analogy, but there's this pop that happens where they get out of their own fucking way, right? Where have you seen that? And what's your experience in working with artists in that way?
Yeah. I think that there's a large percentage of people who come to me and they are so stuck in an old version of themselves, and they are still stuck on what the professor said, and they are still stuck on what their parents said, and they are still stuck on, well, my friend says this about me and I feel like they're right. That the grieving aspect is that I am lovingly pushing clients to transition into a 2.0 version of themselves, and that triggers grief because they are grieving a safe version of themselves that has worked in prior years, but now they're in New York. And they know that they're hiding, and they know that they're not totally being visible, and they know that there's apologetic energy that they're bringing into rooms and tapes, and they're afraid to find ownership in their career and find ownership in their artistry. And grieving an old version of yourself, like, it's not like you're crying in your bedroom every day and you're missing an old version of yourself. It's uncomfortable to go through it's uncomfortable to jump timelines as an artist. And that comes with grief. And that is something that I see. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, that makes perfect fucking sense. I'm like writing down. I was like, yep. And that's exactly like what you did. And this is, again, I know grief can be a really scary word. Sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to feel. There's a lot of bypassing that happens, especially with artists. We're going to talk about a way to not fucking do this. But I think it's like people get like a little bit of the equation or a little bit of the way they help themselves, but then they ignore and they push it down and they're just like, just think positive. I have to do I have to stay in the vortex. I have to do this. And so they like, I feel like artists are aware of manifestation and how to get the things they want and having positive mindset. But again, what that can do if you're not being present with the transition that's happening, it's actually a way to self-abandon. I'm not worthy of being with this version of myself that I'm transitioning into, that I'm stepping away from, that I'm becoming, because that having charged feelings or having the feeling of grief or sadness or transition is sometimes looked at as a bad thing. So if you guys are listening to this and we're talking about grief, and we're talking about these big emotions that might feel scary or overwhelming, just know this, as an artist, your job is to reflect what it is to be alive. And when we are alive at the fullest potential, we are going to experience the highs and lows of things. And I mean, I know just as working professionally, right, as artists, we do that, I think, more than most people, right? Like we dive in and out as a profession to go into the highs and lows. And, that can be very dysregulating if you don't know how to take care of yourself. So anyway, if those sound scary, I just invite you to be present with whatever resistance you're having in this story and maybe look at it as just an invitation to reflect on, hey, like, what am I resisting? Like, what am I actually afraid of here? And I know,
well, and that's, there's no trick to being an actor. I don't know the potion. What I do know is that a lot of people are spectators on their careers and they sit in the dugout and they think that somebody's going to swoop them up. They're hoping that'll happen, or they're hoping that they'll have one audition where everything just clicks. But people think that doing it scared is the wrong way, because if you do it scared, then that means that you're not ready. And nobody's fucking ready, ever. Ever. And also, people's perception of if you, the actor, are ready or not is going to be different for every single industry professional and artist who sees you. Right. And so, feeling the high emotions and feeling the nerves and feeling the shame, you need to start to make friends with that as an artist.
Be present with it at the very least.
Absolutely. Or, you're talking about manifesting and you're talking about, you want to become a new version of yourself. You can't push that new version. There's a difference between pushing a new identity as an artist and letting it unfold. And it really just takes immense permission to invest in a newfound artistry than an overnight sensation.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's so fascinating. All these go together. They all do come down, in my opinion, just to grossly simplify it. But it does come down to, I think, your system's ability to catch yourself in this in-between phase, in this witnessing of yourself, which I believe is like just fucking self-love at the core of it. But so to give a specific example, if listeners are like, the fuck are they talking about? To give a specific example, when Spencer basically gave me a kick in the ass and was like, listen, do these things and then we'll touch base and see what happens. I did those things. And then at the very core of it, I was also doing like very deep hearts work, which is like just intense, borderline psychedelic therapy of in the way that it was being done for me. It was very deep. And why, like, this dissonant feeling of like, why am I resisting this so much? Right. And sometimes it doesn't really help to intellectually understand why. Like, it can be more somatic. Like you said, it can't be pushed. We can't have an agenda. But what was really the truth under it all was that I was starting to accept and understand that after COVID, and we could talk about, maybe Spencer's 2.0 and transition, and if you'd like to share your relationship with what I'm about to say. But as I started to enter my 3.0 version, like I'm transitioning, I realized that I completely cast 20-year-old Sarah, who had been working her fucking ass off from 2015 to 2019, was spinning my wheels, was so lost, was doing the open calls, was completely self-abandoning, was borderline abusing myself, perpetuating abuse that I had experienced before. I had the final realization that what I was doing to myself was continuing a pattern of feeling like I needed to change in order to feel safe and accepted, and that I needed to be something else in order to finally be okay. And this cycle of this vicious cycle of I need to be different. I can't be what I am. I have to be skinnier. I have to belt higher. I have to dance better. I have to get it. And basically when 2020 happened, I transitioned into the version I am today. I worked really hard to at least be with myself through that grief and start making better decisions and rewiring my mind and being with myself and regulating and healing. And then I transitioned into this. And as I'm going into this 3.0 version, this version that's visible, this version that's a leader, this version that embodies both, that has healed their creativity, that continues to work through it, that leads. There was a part of me that felt like I was going to kill this version off. Like I had that first, right? How I had basically what this is called is casting it in shadow. I'm no longer this. I'm no longer a struggling, starving artist. I can't be this anymore because I can't fucking handle it or stand it anymore. I will no longer be this. Back into shadow. Full of shame. I can never be that again. And as you're talking about people transitioning, in any of these timeline jumps and any of these up levels, if you recognize that at any point you have actually cast something and you have not experienced self-compassion in a way, or you have a hard time visiting certain areas of your life, like for me, I could not reflect on the years between 2015 and 2019. It was so heartbreaking and devastating being in that cycle. I literally could not be with her. And it was like, that was the point in my life. I was like, this cannot go on. So anyway, what you helped me with, Spencer, in this long-winded explanation is you started the catalyst of understanding just how much fear I was holding inside me, and the understanding that my journey, it wasn't going to be like that. And that's okay. And, that understanding of I simply cannot put myself through that again. But that doesn't mean I ever have to stop being an artist. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to help people. That doesn't mean that I'm never going to be on Broadway. It just means that way of being, first of all, I have to be okay with her. And I have to appreciate her and accept her for how fucking hard she worked and how hard she was trying. And I have to embrace her in order to transition so that I don't feel like this version of me that's I fucking that she doesn't, I don't have to cast her away. Right. Does that make any sense to you at all?
It makes so much sense. I kind of call it the 8th Avenue version. And it's like a lot of people move to a major city. They come out of a training program and they're like, I'm going to take the industry by storm. And there are some people who really commit to that. And they're running down 8th Avenue in ripped dance tights with one Laduca on and one Nike Air on. And you almost convince yourself that this feels good and this has to be the work. And then you get to a point where I think you go into a different phase of adulthood and you're like, what was that for? Right. And who was I? Because I felt like a robotic actor who needed this external validation because I worked hard, and this business isn't fair. This business is not, they don't give accolades to people who work hard. And so it's refreshing to hear that you're in this unapologetic, rooted, grounded version of Sarah right now. And I feel the same as Spencer, because the old version and the BFA version, is exhausting.
It's not sustainable.
No.
It's just not. And I think anyone, and I see this in certain people, and I look at them and they're around our age and they might still be there. And I look at them with empathy because I almost look at them and it's like this feeling of like, are you okay? Like some of the ones, especially even the ones that have been working consistently, and they almost seem like they're a little bit in the Broadway clique. Do you know what I'm saying? Like mentally, they're still stuck at CCM mentally. And maybe they're still, and maybe I'm projecting onto them, maybe that's an unfair judgment, but I'll go to like these alumni events and, the one part that can wound those versions of self, and they're disappointing, and they can be activating, but like going to those, I don't know if Boko has these, but I could imagine the CCM ones, going to the alumni events or like the what is it called? A reunion. They usually have like, they'll go to Housewell Greens. There's a restaurant they all go after showcase, and you connect with people, and like there's a divide that happens in the group. There's a select amount of people. Well, I guess maybe there's three ways. There's people that have what everybody wants, but you can see almost a sadness in them, and they're unable. It almost feels, and like again, maybe I'm projecting. It almost feels like they're unable to be honest with how they are doing. So but everybody's going up to them being like, oh my God, like you did it. Like all the graduates and they're like, thanks. And like, they're gracefully taking it, but I can feel this sadness on them and I can't explain it. So there's A. B, they're the people that did make it as well, who their egos are thriving. They're like, I am it. I did it. Yes. And then sometimes they can even look at you and be like, so what are you doing? And the people who aren't on Broadway, and this is the third group, that have lived other areas of life, that maybe found the love of their life, that maybe started a business, or they got into rock climbing and it lights them up, or they manifested a dream apartment and they couldn't even believe it. Like these other areas of their life that are thriving, that are invisible or feel invisible. It can be really invalidating. But I don't know what the point of this is, but I think it's just touching base on maybe different artists and where they are and where their hearts are and their humanity is in a system and in an industry that, I don't know, it's hard. Like you said, it's unforgiving. So how is someone going to adapt,
what I do think, what I think about when you talk about that, and it's not exclusive to just obviously one college after party. I think this is just probably in anywhere in the corporate world, in show business, there's always going to be groupings. And I think that on the topic of like an actor being like, I have to level the fuck up, part of that and part of the uncomfortable transition is that it's just not your business. It's not your business. It's not your business where you, which grouping you fit into at a college after party. It's not your business if somebody maybe doesn't want to talk to you, but you're trying to catch up with them. It's not your business what they think about you in the audition room. It's honestly not really your business what the feedback was on why you didn't get the role. Sometimes it's nice that it can be your business. Maybe when you go back in, now you have a little more context for next time. But when you as a person or an artist make a decision like, it just isn't really my business what they think or why so-and-so or why XYZ happened. God, that is where you start to feel peace in a very dismissive and hard business. That you win as an actor when you really start to cultivate peace within yourself. So that kind of ties up that point, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think I mean, what you're saying is true. It's like energetic boundaries. Like if you're going to go, I guess this also brings up a point, is the acceptance that the business is the way it is. I think that was something that I was fighting for a long time, that I wish this could be different. That doesn't help anybody, right? I think there's ways that I'm trying to help artists, and I think you are helping artists with the way they feel about themselves that in the long run will influence possibly the way the business operates from individual to individual, kind of this up level that happens to create peace and sovereignty within yourself. And I think that not grown, it's like everybody's going to have their own journey with that. But I think what it reflects on is the culture. And two things can be true. Like, yes, there are people that you will connect with or that you have connected with. Yes, it is a business of connection. Yes, you're going to want to have relationships with people. You're going to want to leverage those relationships. And at the end of the day, because of the nature of the business, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to bring out the best in some people, because hopefully they're creating boundaries and sovereignty within themselves. And when we're trying, like, and I find myself feeling this way too. It's like wishing in relationships with people that they could be different or more. But I feel like that's just, again, like you said, the focus isn't in the right place. The focus should just be on you and how you carry yourself and how you respond versus, like, I don't know. Sometimes I think that's one of the reasons why I was tired of the business, because I didn't feel like I could find connections that I should have been seeking outside of it. Does that make sense?
Of course. I think that once you radically accept that this path is so nonlinear that nothing is really going to make sense. And this, like, the only thing that you need to make sense of is exactly what you want and who you are and what your boundaries are, and what your niche is. And once you figure out that the business really isn't that fair, the business is a business. Like, people really forget what the word business is. And when you figure out that it's just a big worldwide company with a lot of employees who all want a promotion, that is when, to what you just said, Sarah, that's when you're like, cool, I can still love this and I can still have agency in myself as an actor. And I'm going to expand myself and explore other horizons. And this is where, when you don't give the business full attention, that's when it wants you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's interesting because I've been withdrawing my attention more and more to the point where, you know, I did even have a discussion with my representation, just being like, listen, like, this thing is thriving over here. So, like, I'm going to pay attention to it, just so you know. Which was actually a super scary conversation because, you know, there's a long history and appreciation for them. And I know maybe you can talk about how actors, I mean, I know that's probably 50% of the thing you talk to them about is their nerves about talking to the representation and having a whole mind fuck around that. But I know for me, it was a very necessary step and it was something I was afraid of doing. And I even said this, I voiced this to them. And I was like, I don't want you to think I don't care. I've been afraid of being completely transparent because, like, I don't, you know, I've realized I've been trying to control how you see me versus just embodying and embracing all of that. And you deserve to see where I'm going and what I am. And I'm not going to hide that from you anymore. And I hope that you choose to continue to work with me. But if you don't, I understand, because I'm going to need to follow these opportunities. That was a big deal. And it scared the shit out of me. I just did that a couple weeks ago. I couldn't even, you know, but I went into the meeting being like, I need, it's a form of respect to them to own what's going on and to have a conversation. And I was like, if I was in a relationship with someone, I wouldn't, like, not that having an agent's dating, and I'm going to ask you how you feel about this, but like any relationship, a friendship, if you feel like you're manipulating yourself out of fear of how they're going to find you, like, that's not an equal relationship. Like, that to me, I was like, I don't want to engage in something like that. So what is your experience in mentoring people into having conversations with rep? Because this is a big deal and every actor talks about it and it's tough.
I think in most relationships, some of the best advice I've gotten is kind is clear.
Yeah.
And kindness, you experience kindness from people because they're so clear about who they are and they're so clear about their intentions. And I think that if you go back to the books of what is a rep, you know, that is your liaison between you and the industry, and a rep works for you. And agents and managers are working very hard. And I don't even think that actors understand the ins and outs of what they do. And I think that sometimes there are very unfair requests that clients ask of their reps. And I just wish that like an actor can sit in an office and watch their reps sometimes. At the end of the day, though, they need to be aware of your transformation, and they're not going to know unless if you tell them and unless if you're clear. And I think that people are worried about looking ungrateful or looking like they're a diva, but it's all in how you say it. And it's all about being tactful. And when your gut is like, I need to express this to my reps, your gut is correct. And you also forget that they're having these conversations daily with their clients. They're not phased by now. That is a scary thing to talk to your agents about. I need to give my business some more love. So I need to step away potentially from some opportunities that you might get me because I can't go off and go do this show right now because I need to be here with this. I'm totally paraphrasing it, and I'm making up a narrative that you might have had with your agents, but I think that that's being clear. And the worst possible thing is when you cancel an appointment last minute, or you don't take an offer, or you decline an audition, and your reps think, well, I thought that we were on the same page, and this was kind of where you want to be going. You should have let me know that, and you should have let them know that.
Yeah, because it's misleading and it's manipulative. Like, I mean, and I know those harsh words, but it's like, I think if you get into a state of lack of, it's like, it gives the, like I said, like sometimes because the industry is rough waters sometimes, you have an option over how you show up. And especially as you're transitioning into a different version of you, if you're noticing, like I was noticing, I am shrinking in this element because I feel afraid of losing you, because I'm so afraid of ending up like version 1, who was drowning and struggling and couldn't. And because I'm afraid of becoming that, and I quite literally can't do that to myself again. I need this, I need you, but I'm afraid that you won't like who I am. So I'm just gonna try to continue to things that don't really feel good. And then like what you said, then miscommunication comes because you're hiding and you're not being clear. And okay, this big opportunity popped up, I need to take it. And they're like, what the fuck? I didn't even know. I worked really hard. I had these conversations. I put my neck on the line for you. And now you're not accepting it. Like, what the fuck? Right? Like that puts them in a really bad position. So instead of shrinking and not being transparent, it's like, and that's kind of why I had the conversation. I was like, I see this going this way. Would love to take you with me. I think it could be really cool. But the other thing that my agent said, which was really beautiful and actually a really big gift, was it was kind of like the age-old trope of like, just be happy. they were like they're genuine people that like are actually good people. And they're like, listen, I didn't know I was going to end up an agent, right? I'm not going to give too much of this conversation, but I didn't know this is where I was going to end up. If that's where you're going, we're happy for you. I was like,
yeah. Oh. Well, I think it's a trap that we fall in as actors. I fall in this as an actor. Like, I think I know how to pick myself up, and I know I know the stop signs so I can stop. But we just sometimes don't let ourselves see other people as humans in this industry. And, actually, Sarah, before Monopoly, I was having immense anxiety. I was, I didn't book a show in a while. I am a little unique and a little off kilter. And I think sometimes people don't really know what to do with me. And then Monopoly hit, and I was like, oh my God, this is a great show for me. Like, this is like a Looney Tunes, vocally forward, exciting crackerjack smash. And I was like, I found it. And I was like, I'm going to be at New 42, and I was cast by this person. I just wanted to do well. And I remember having immense anxiety that I was going to fuck something up, and I was not going to look impressive, and I was going to be weird in rehearsals and all this stuff. And my therapist, and this is kind of gross, but I'm going to just say it. My therapist was like, Spencer, everybody in that rehearsal room shits. And I was like,
All right.
And they were this like very, like my therapist was very buttoned up. So it was kind of shocking to hear them say that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not even just agents. It's like your relationships work when they lean into your change, when they're like, great, you are changing, you are evolving, things are a little different. Awesome. Your foundation is still the same. Sarah is still Sarah. Sarah just needs another boundary with her career when it comes to auditions. And God, there's so much relief when an actor can get to a state where they're like, yeah, that isn't for me, and I'm going to voice it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and again, like you said, clear is kind. And this also directs me to the other point I wanted to make was like when we were talking about, I think the reason I made it so damn hard on myself if we're going to call her the 2015 to 2019 was that I was resisting the uncomfortable feelings that I knew deep down were true of what it ended up evolving that like, I just couldn't keep going this way. Right. And I was resisting because I went, well, that is the only way, right? The BFA versions we all maybe transition out of or away from. I was like, well, if I can't have it this way, then I must have failed, right? Sometimes we can have really black and white thinking that, again, it's almost like I think our systems get so spooked over the possibility that we're going to have to jump the cliff and like walk into the unknown that it's like what feels safer to us is spinning around in the washing cycle because that's what we've seen or that's what we've been told is the way. And especially for me, if I'm repeating a pattern of chaos because that feels familiar, stilling the system and just, walking through the other door that's open and it's into the unknown, like as Elsa would let us know, it's into the unknown. I don't know if this is going to work. Sometimes that feels even scarier, right? And the only way to walk through that door is by being quiet enough and looking at what you're resisting. What is the thing I'm scared of? Well, I was scared of being honest with my agents. Why? Well, because I was afraid they weren't going to like me or they weren't going to want to work with me. Why? Well, because you're afraid of ending up by yourself. Why? Well, because you abused yourself the last time. So,
and really what you're saying is, and this is one of the most difficult parts of being an actor, the actual journey of trusting yourself, that's one of the best journeys you can go on. And it's also one of the most painful ones. And this is so simple, but I was watching an interview with Renee Rapp maybe like 8 months ago, and they actually were asking her about her experience in Mean Girls. And she was like, it wasn't for me. Like I was young and it was very overwhelming. And they were like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, what is your transition from then, where maybe you were scared, you were on Broadway, you were figuring it out, to right now, because you feel so confident now. And she was like, I trusted myself. She's like, I really, really committed to just trusting to exactly who Renee is and what Renee needs and what Renee isn't going to deal with. And that just like, I don't know, it flicked something in my mind where I was like, wow, like the people who are working, the people who make great relationships, the people who are just a good hang, they trust themselves. They're just flowing. They're not forcing. And we'll use your thing again as an example. It's like, well, this is what I need. And I guess if somebody doesn't want to work with me because I have something exciting going on that I want to weave into my career, well, then I guess that's not for me. And thankfully you have beautiful, incredible, encouraging agents who are like, yes, Sarah, go. You're trusting yourself. We trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is huge. And, it's kind of silly on the other side because I think as actors, because it's all about us and our internal world. And if we're not doing some kind of practice, which I'm going to get into talking about here on how you can soften, how you can be honest with yourself, how you can learn to trust, how you can feel safe. Like, because sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's like, something's wrong, but you just do not know where the fuck to go. Right. So I'm going to talk about that here in a second. I had a point and now my ADHD brain doesn't remember where it's going. Okay. I had a point. We lost it. All right. So okay, we're just going to go with what I said. This is the live feed, guys, of me being a little wild in the mind. So if you have these issues that we're talking about here, and not issues, they're human, right? If you're struggling, if you're having a hard time knowing what's up from down, you feel confused, you know something's off, or you're coming into version 2.0 or 3.0, and you know that there's some internal TLC that you could do as an actor and an artist. You know that there's things that you need a little support to hold yourself through to become this other version. They'll really need to check out the Inner Circle membership. Basically, what Spencer and I are talking about here today, there's a whole program called Safety and Taking Risks. And then there's a Trust and Letting Go program that literally does exactly what we're talking about. And it uses hypnosis. Because sometimes it's like, yeah, we can hear a Renee Rapp video and be like, shit, it's clicking. But sometimes, like, depending on your history and what's going on in your world and like how stubborn you are and how much you're caught up in the mindset, like, it does help to like literally train your mind to feel safe enough to soften into these truths. Because I will say this, the more you fight it, it's just going to get worse. I don't know what to tell you. It will force you to soften at some point. It often, I don't know if you've had these experiences, but you'll feel like your carpet is like ripped out from under you. I feel like COVID was a lot of that for us. If you're a creative or a performer who feels stuck, burned out, or blocked, it's not your talent. It's your subconscious wiring and your nervous system. That's why I built the Singer's Path Inner Circle membership. This membership not only gives you access to exclusive content, live masterclasses, and support, but it also gives you exclusive access to the revolutionary Spotlight system, which is a neural rewiring program rooted in neuroscience and designed to help you finally feel safe succeeding and rewiring your brain to take action so you actually get the success that you've been desiring. In this program, that again is entirely exclusive to the Singer's Path Inner Circle. You do not have access to this unless you're part of the membership. You will heal that starving artist money story. You will look and heal your relationship with stage fright and your fear of being seen. And then finally, create from confidence, not chaos. And here's the thing, right now there is a founding member sale for this membership, which means that you can join and have this membership priced forever at less than $2 a day. Seriously, that's less than a subway ride. And it stays that low forever if you jump on this during this founding member launch sale. Prices will go up to $97 a month after January 7th. After the sale is over, it will be increasing forever. So join now and start 2026 as the artist who finally feels safe to shine. Go to the link in the show notes or find it at sarahbishopvocalstudio.com. And now we'll get back to our episode. What's a time for you where you, Spencer, were invited to do this softening, or you had the carpet ripped out, or like you got to a point where you had to start listening? Did any of those things happen to you?
Yeah. In September, I was really suffering mentally when it came to me as an actor. Because I was like, my business is booming. I'm married. Everything else is going great, but why? And I was, I'm recently back to auditioning. That's a whole other podcast, but I'm in a very intense acting class, and it's a film class. And I love it, but first of all, I don't do on-camera work, but I'm interested in it. But also, I just wanted to be I really wanted to. Everything is on camera now. Everything is a self-tape. So I was like, this is good for me to be in this class. And everybody in this class is like series regulars and recurring guest stars, and everyone's gorgeous. And like, they get up there and they nail it. They're amazing. And then I would get up there and I felt like I never opened my mouth before to speak. And I started to get this kind of anxiety that I hadn't felt in a while. I started to be this really shrilled, shrinky version of myself. And going to class, I was up there for maybe 10 minutes, right? Like once a week, but that should have been a fraction of what my week was. I revolved my entire week around going to film class. And it got to a point where I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, you either suffer through change or you surrender to change.
Mm.
And I had to surrender to change. And part of surrendering to change is getting the fuck over yourself. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean literally getting over myself. And you can't see me, but my finger is going over my head. We need to get over our critics and our demons. And I am so used to caretaking actors. I genuinely feel like a large percentage of people, I feel really confident that I can make significant changes. Now, when it comes to making changes on yourself, and now I'm back in the ring as an actor, so now I'm a coach and I'm an actor, I didn't know how to take care of myself, and I was suffering.
Yeah.
And instead of surrendering to, well, learn to take care of yourself and change your mindset and wake up a little earlier. And you're not doing this for other people. You're doing this for you. People, you can have the best damn performance in film class. Someone's going to be like, that guy sucks. That's what it is. And I did all that work as a business person. When I first started this business, I got pushback from people. I had TikToks made about me. I had people accidentally texting me things about my business, thinking it was to somebody else. A lot of people didn't know what to do with a business where somebody can be a back pocket guider for actors. Because when you don't have a Broadway show and you're not a Hollywood name, people are like, well, then why should you be teaching people? Right. And so I did all this work to be like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. The statistics and the results prove that what I do is great, but now I have to do that as an actor. Yep. And that is my example.
Oh my God, Jesus. I think I don't know if it's just like an energetic thing for everybody. My biggest grief cycle into that came around September 2. It was like July, grieving 1.0 that I cast away, integrating her, reclaiming creativity, August, September, this fucking crisis of like, well, who am I? I want to do this. You know, I started working with these therapists and experts to craft this thing. And it was like, well, who the fuck am I? Like, I don't have a fucking album out. My own creativity stuck too. Hell, I'm making this shit for myself. Who am I to lead artists to actually heal themselves? And you know what I did, Spencer? I actually released 2 episodes. I mean, these should already be out by the time this posts, but I released a 3-part series in giving my own testimonial of being like, you know what? I actually have done this. I've done this in other areas of my life, and I've done this in this area before. And I need to show myself that doing this internal work, making peace within yourself, holding yourself through it, taking scary action, learning how to regulate, even if you are afraid, doing it anyway, and seeing what happened on the other side. And when I made those episodes, I was like, holy shit, like, wait, no, I can do this. And there's also humility of being like, and to best serve people. That's why I co-created it with someone that specializes in that, right? So that imposter syndrome, I posted something on my Instagram the other day about like how business will bring out all of your shit, right? But so will being an artist. But there's something very confronting about having a business. It will challenge you in your pricing. It will challenge you in visibility. It will challenge you in your worth. It will challenge you. And, you know, and I had the same things happen to me, and I know how much that sucks. I'm sorry. I had people stitch me. I had this one jaded Elphaba who, fuck her. But she got on and she was like, she took, you know, people don't read or listen. They take a video and they go, oh, and then they like mock you, and they're like, come on. And it, you know what that will do, and what I had to start to reframe is literally it's an opportunity to heal deeper what's showing me my kind of blind spots. It mirrors back what isn't healed in me. So if I have someone coming online and they are ripping me apart for no reason because they didn't read context, and it invokes a wound in me that is, I feel misunderstood, or they didn't listen, or like, you know, they didn't get me. And then I have to look and be like, well, where am I not getting myself? Because if it didn't hurt, then it wouldn't matter. Like it wouldn't be something that would have affected me, but because it hurts, it's showing me the door into some way to integrate. How have you held yourself through? Because this is what we're talking about, is actually a visibility wound. This is a fame and visibility wound of learning to up level and hold yourself to be seen. And guys, I hate to fucking tell you, but if you want to be a successful actor and have your art be seen, this is something that's unavoidable. So to y'all that are like, I don't want to do content, okay, but I'll die on this hill. But anyway, how did you navigate that? And I know we have to wrap up here soon because this is just like full of nuggets, but how did you navigate that visibility?
Well, my God.
You might also still be navigating, because if you don't feel comfortable sharing, because you're still
no. I feel totally comfortable sharing. I had a friend. I once had a really terrible video made about me. And that hasn't happened a lot, but I had a really terrible video made about me, and it rattled me, and it confused me. And also, similar to kind of what you were saying, I mean, this person went into iMovie. They were moving things in it was so not like the message that the message was just so misconstrued. And I had a friend say to me, notoriety is notoriety. And you're trying to build a business, or maybe you're just trying to build a presence. And if you're trying to build, you need people to talk, and it's not always going to be great talk. And at the end of the day, Sarah, people are talking. People are always talking about you. People are always going to find something wrong with you, even people who love you. And I think what has helped me heal through the potential of not being liked or not being understood is that I can be a multi-million-dollar business owner. I'm not, by the way, but one day I could be. I don't even know if I want to be. But what I'm saying is, I can have a LA Times, New York Times, Washington Post. I could be Forbes 40 under 40, and it doesn't matter, because I'm still not going to be for everyone. So if I'm putting myself out there online, I'm putting myself out there knowing somebody's not going to get it, and I got to be totally cool with that.
Well, it's also like redirecting your focus. Why are you doing it? Well, if it's to be of service, then it matters more to show up from a place of service to them. Because if you choose to shrink because you're afraid of the people that weren't for you anyway, that no matter what you do, like I think it was Dita Von Teese just says, you could be the juiciest peach on the tree, but there's always going to be someone who doesn't like peaches, right? If you are making decisions because of that, you are not showing up in the way that you're supposed to for the people that are supposed to find you. So it's redirecting.
Yeah. Well, and to what you just said, I haven't taken a dime from social media. I have never had Instagram or TikTok put money into my account. Honestly, that's kind of out of being lazy. I just like,
are you part of the creative rewards? You could be.
I think I tried to put it in, and then I was like, this is too much. And I always think back to when I'm like, should I post this? And I'm like, it's going to resonate with somebody. And this really is from like a place of service. And, somebody it was actually a casting director said to me, I was speaking to them about this video, and a casting director was like, wait, aren't all you're doing, aren't you just cheering on actors?
Yeah, literally.
Like, yes. And they were like, I don't understand how that's controversial. I was like, neither do I. It's
literally not.
That's the way of the world.
One thing I want to say, it is the way of the world, but what the way of the world is, and this is another program that's in the inner circle, but there's something called shadow. And I mentioned it before, you cast into shadow. When you're a person of light, when you are transcending to Spencer 3.0, Sarah 3.0, right? You're shedding an old identity, you're timeline jumping into another one. We all do it. But you do it consciously, especially as an artist, right? Because it's public, there's a team, there's things happening, okay? And the more, I believe the more success you want, you're going to be confronted with this, needing to do this. But when you are someone that shines and shines a light on things, that triggers people. And sometimes it's going to trigger a lot of people. And hopefully it triggers them in a good way to show them some kind of a mirror back to them as to how they aren't integrated, or they haven't seen themselves, or they don't cheer themselves on. They might see it as stupid or whatever their trigger is because of their own relationship with self. Or you might shine it on them so much that like they want to stay in the shadow. They don't want to be seen that. And they get angry and reactive because it's almost like a survival thing to them. You're showing me there could be a different way. Well, that way doesn't feel safe. Fuck you. Right? So they don't want to see that. But you know what you will do is show a way for so many other people by shining. And I think a lot of the time it's something we tell ourselves, and we have to start telling ourselves until we start seeing evidence of that. That's part of the scariness of being in the void, taking the jump, doing the scary things, holding yourself through risk. There is a delay period of seeing the results coming into play. And that's where trusting yourself and holding yourself needs to happen. But when you do, I'd be actually so curious. Wow, so many people are obsessed with you enough to make an iMovie of you. Lol, that must have really pissed someone off. I love that for you. You really got under someone's skin. But where are some, I actually think that's fucking great. Because that means it just triggered them so much. They were thinking about you so much, Spencer. They're so obsessed with you. They made a video.
Well, can I tell you, I just got off an 8-hour drive. I was in the middle of Virginia, and I just tried Olive Garden for the first time, and I was having such a great night. And it was as I was going to bed, and it just came up on my For You page, and it had so much traction. But I have gotten to a point, Sarah, where I'm like, I guess I resonated something, and that is my job on social media. I just want to resonate with you.
And then it's, what is it? None of your business. How it goes.
It's not my business. Yeah.
It's not your business. But yep. I, like, as someone observing this, I view it as people aren't going to read, people aren't going to listen. Traction is traction. And you shined so bright, you hurt someone's eyes. So they felt hurt about it, and they had to do something about it. But I want to, as we're wrapping up here, because I know your time is precious, and I want to be respectful of that, even though I could talk to you for hours about all this stuff. Where are ways, can you think of any examples? And, you know, I mean, what I'm going to be asking you is maybe just sharing testimonials from people, but examples of that when you're uncomfortable, you're sitting in the void. If you want to speak on that, you can. But when you have to just blindly trust that the work you're doing, whether it's a creative, whether it's a business owner, whether it's someone you don't really have the receipts yet, you're working towards that. But what's holding yourself through that scary period, moving on anyway, and then starting to see receipts? Like, what are some examples of ways that you've gotten hints or perks or downloads or being like, oh, yeah, no, this is right. Like, just as we can have some bitch make a video, what are some examples of ways that you have deeply helped people?
That's a great question, Sarah.
You need to think about it. I just really, I do that to people. I'm like, what's
this?
I
think it's great. I think a couple of things that come to mind immediately is one, I work with a lot of people who are like, I don't have an agent or a manager, and so my career must be over. And I'm like, no. And they get so wrapped in the idea that they don't have a team, that they don't know how to be a team for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I really teach people to treat their career like a small business. And so I'll give you an example. People have the same songs that they've been singing from college. Like, their books are still like divided by like legit up-tempo, legit ballad, pop ballad 2002, pop up-tempos, 80s. Like, everything is so manufactured for them still that they're going into these rooms and they're like, I don't know why I'm not getting callbacks. And I'm like, because you're not asking for anything. You're not giving any intel into who you are. And I think I help people design and package their auditions so that they are dripping in their uniqueness, whether it's sides or it's songs. And I really force actors to get uber specific, because when there are 900 people at that call that day, no one's asking you to walk in the room like voguing and like in a costume so you could be remembered. That's never what it is. But what are you doing to change the energy of the room? Mm-hmm. And if it's just singing a song that you've known for a while because it's an EPA and who cares, and you can just you can just pull it out. That's where I'm like, you're a spectator on your career. Like, and I really think that I have shown people how to walk in 5 seconds, be like, this is who I am. No questions asked on where I fit maybe in this piece that I'm auditioning for. And I think I have shown actors how to give an introduction. And I think I've also shown actors to ask the question and to have the collateral to back it up. I have a client who's been in New York for, I'm going to just I'll be protective. They've been in New York for 8 years, let's say. They never had a Broadway audition. I knew that something was happening. I knew that somebody was looking for somebody. And I was like, send your stuff over. They sent their stuff over. They got an in-person appointment for this Broadway show. They did not get a call back, but that led to another in-person audition for a different show that casting company was casting. And they booked that show and that launched their career. And that is all them, by the way. Like, that is them. That is them saying yes. That is them being like, let me put myself on the line. Let me go off the high dive. But I think that I give people permission to be like, why the fuck not? And I'm going to do it in a smart way. I'm going to be respectful about it. There's always a time and place. But no one's going to give you food if you don't put your hands out a little bit.
Well, it also brings up the point that you said, I mean, being clear, being concise, being like not aggressive, but clear. You said it earlier. Clarity is kind. It's almost kind of respectful to be like, listen, I know me. I know I could help you with this. Here you go. This is what I am. I know it's great. Boo, 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 boo. Right? It's like selling your, like, people are like, well, how do you sell yourself? It's like, well, it's knowing what you are and knowing your fucking rock. Like, the only reason I got on board with selling my own products was I was like, you know what? This does help people. I am of service. This will fucking rock people's world. I know that because it did that to me. Okay, cool. So what if you as an artist could rock people's world by going into that audition? You have a problem. I'm a solution, baby. I'm being clear. My branding, my packaging, my wrapping is clear. So you know exactly what it is. That's kind. Casting likes that. People like that because it takes the pressure off of them to figure it out because literally they just don't have the fucking time to. So it's not because you're getting passed over because you're not talented or you're not a good person. You need to be a package that they understand, right? And even if you are unique, picking things, having the confidence and self-care, not neglecting your talent in a way that's you're not giving it the time and day to help in the way that it's meant to help. I have one question for you here, and it's on callbacks, and then I know we have to wrap up because I want to let you have your day. But callbacks were interesting for me this year. I feel like after we did the things that you talked about, I got a lot of auditions. Like, a lot of auditions. Like, I got 6 in one weekend once. It was insane. I got a fuck ton of auditions. But I didn't get callbacks until I made it to finals for Les Mis. So it would just be like, I would get like one, and then all of a sudden I was in finals. What have you noticed in the callbacks sequences? Because when I brought it to acting, I take with Eric Reese for film and for like that self-tape work. And I've actually really grown to love doing self-taping at this point because it just was like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. This is fun. But what have you experienced with actors? Because it kind of seems like callbacks are a little bit more rare, or maybe that's not true. But it was like I kept getting seen by the same for different shows. But I was like, well, but I didn't get called back for this. Like, what the fuck? But then I got 4 more auditions. Like, if you could speak on that, for that mindset, what have you observed?
Yeah, it's a mind maze. I think that casting directors, what are they amazing at? They're amazing at seeing actors and being like, whoa, I get it and I see it and I love this wow factor. That does not equate getting a callback.
Right.
And I think that this is where I tell actors, go back to the business. These people have strict instructions on what the vision is. They know what hasn't worked last time. They know the people who they're working for. And so they might be like, oh, let me try it out on Sarah and let's just see if the material works on her. It might, I'm not sure, right? And I can't speak for every casting director. But it's rarely a reflection on, oh, you just weren't good. It truly is just like, yeah, not this time around. There isn't, like, the vibe isn't there. And I think that you probably made it to final callbacks for a show because you gained trust in a casting office who saw you in so many different realms and arenas that they were like, no, I know her work and she'll do great work in the room for creatives. And that's half the battle. Who wouldn't want to have somebody in the room that can be trusting, but you've continued to make trusting tapes, and each trusting tape has gotten you another tape. And this is where it's like, it's an investment and it can be tiring for some people, but everything you just said to me, Sarah, I'm like, you literally invested in that final callback.
Yeah. Well, because I was just like, you know what I did, and this can help again with a mindset shift. This is kind of all boiling down to original point. I was letting go of control and being in acceptance of, I feel like my chapter in this way may have some winds and twists, and I don't know where it's going to go. All I know is I need to follow my joy. What is something that I really like? Well, I actually do really like acting. And I actually do really like singing if I let myself not be a fucking perfectionist about it. If I can just enjoy the process of singing, I can apply what I learned as a teacher. Hell, we have to be careful about this, but I can sometimes, after the audition has passed, or if it's a show that's already been happening or it's already been released, I can turn it into content if I want, if I'm not revealing things that I shouldn't be about the production. You got to be careful about that. But if I'm like, listen, they've done Dear Evan Hansen everywhere. Like, I don't have to say where it is, but here's my Dear Evan Hansen tape. And I can use it as education. I can use it as a growth opportunity. Every time I get to self-tape, it's a challenge of how I can understand picture and film, how different colors. It's a way of being present. When I started focusing on that's quote unquote the work, that everybody's like, just focus on the work, just focus on the work. Who cares? That's when I genuinely I forgot that I did certain auditions. I was like, oh yeah, I did audition for Operation Mincemeat. Oh yeah, I did audition for that. I forgot. But what it ends up happening is that's all your actual job. Your actual job is to be creative. And if you're not feeling creative and fulfilled in self-taping, you got to find something else to be creative because that's your actual fucking job. So, and when you start to reclaim that, again, there's another thing in this. This program is packed to the fucking brim, guys. There's a whole program in this called Reclaiming Creativity, which is basically the artist's way on fucking crack. Because we take your mind and we also reprogram it with fucking pro-made hypnosis tracks to take the harness of your own creativity and get it back. And do it so in a way that's like fun and mischievous. But anyway, I think that's why I stopped fucking care. I mean, there's still parts with me that I have to navigate, regulate, use the spotlight system in the inner circle, all of that stuff to help myself through that. Because like our ego will perk up and be like, well, I didn't get a call back. Right? But it was kind of the before times. I have to keep reminding myself, like, it's different times. But anyway, Spencer, thank you for listening to me talk. I appreciate you being here today and chatting with me and sharing your story.
Oh, such beautiful conversations. Thank you. And it's really refreshing to like talk to people who own a business where they where they work with actors, B, are also on an actor journey themselves, and C, have a million just like flying colors and things that, you know, they're trying to balance. So it's really refreshing, Sarah, and this was great, and you're very good at this.
Thank you, Spencer. I'm excited to see, you know, who this episode's going to reach and how it's going to help them. And, you know, if any of y'all are interested in at least following Spencer, checking out his future offers, anything like that, I'm going to link all of that information in the show notes. What's your handle as of now, Spencer? Is it just...
Let's go to Instagram.
Okay,
and
Insta?
That is Hi Spencer Glass.
Hi Spencer Glass. Perfect. Okay, great. So that'll also be linked in the show notes so y'all can see that. And with that, is there any like landing nugget that you want to leave with the audience, or something you wish someone would have told you at a certain point, maybe as a young actor? Anything you feel would kind of bow tie this?
Yeah. Stop gatekeeping yourself. And somebody's going to get you, and somebody is going to change the trajectory that you feel like nobody will have the guts to change for you. There's a lot of people in this business. It takes one person. Keep showing up intentionally.
That's beautiful. I need to hear that. I was like, oh, what wonderful words. I want to hear it again. I'll rewind and play it again. Anyway, thank you so much, Spencer. And at some point, you guys probably heard the ad for the Inner Circle. Just a reminder, that's only available for the founding rate until January 7th. So don't forget that. And if you love this, please feel free to leave us a 5-star written review. We really appreciate you. This is not a free thing to produce necessarily, but we love to do it. So if you want to do some divine reciprocity, leaving us a review will be so helpful. Anyway, thank you so much, Spencer.
Thank you. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.